Welcome to Comics League. I know I already did a Halo Wednesdays, but I'm giving you all a bonus episode because I'm feeling mighty generous this week. So this week I have my friend Brian on the show. He's a video game streamer. He does a lot of other stuff. Brian, tell us about everything you do.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Brian. I go by Witchwake online. Small Twitch streamer. I do mainly Sea of Thieves. I do other fun stuff along those lines. Minecraft, Cyberpunk, stuff like that. A lot of first-person games. I've been playing video games since I was a little kid. I got my NES set up on top of my TV. I've got my PC, my Quest. I play a lot of games. Big metalhead, big musician guy, big music kind of guy. If you couldn't tell by my shirt, Dragon Force, mixing both video game and heavy metal. But mainly, yeah, that's pretty much about me in terms of relation to this.
So being a big gamer, I decided since for the past we've been covering all of season 1 of Halo, and to conclude our coverage, I figured let's talk about why games are so hard to adapt, because we hear so many times about they're adapting this game, and really up until like Sonic, nothing's really been that successful. Mm-hmm. So Brian, I'll start with you. Why do you think that games are really hard to adapt into like movies and TV shows and such?
In my opinion, I think they're hard to adapt because there's certain aspects of a video game that really are hard to bring into movies. Like you couldn't make a movie on Pac-Man. What would it be? A Pac-Man let loose in the city of New York. That's what would that you like something like that you can't make into a movie. And it shows with the Pixel, whatever that Adam Sandler Pixel movie was.
Yeah.
That was awful, but that wasn't directly bringing in a video game to, was it Adam Sandler? I don't remember, but it brought video games into the real world. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to bring stuff, even like Dig Dug. What would that be? A miner gets stuck underground and has to fight a bunch of creatures. I mean, that's not really an interesting thing to watch.
So it's a Minecraft movie.
Pretty much.
But and Warp Zone did a video on this, and one of the points that they brought up is that games, in addition to all the stuff that you mentioned, Brian, is that games also have a lot of like unique experiences that are unique to each individual player, and it's really hard for a movie that it's very passive for the observer. It's very hard for a movie to be able to relate like the game experience to the viewer. Like I'll tell you this, and and I've said this every week, whenever there was an action scene, the Halo show did for the most part feel like Halo, because they had like the music, the sounds, the guns, everything felt like that. But when you have a game like, I mean, I don't know if this counts, but still like Dragon Ball or like Mortal Kombat, it's a little iffy on that.
Right. I know one of the first Mortal Kombat movies was actually really well done. The new one wasn't bad either. But there were some that absolutely bombed. And it also comes down to the crew and the director. If the director's experienced with these games and he knows how to, and he's played them and he has, he's played them growing up. If you're familiar with how the game should be, then you can kind of influence your how you direct the movie, the camera shots. You can kind of direct that stuff, get it into where it should be to kind of feel more like the game.
Mm-hmm. It's like, and remember, another example that comes to mind is, did you ever see any of the Doom movies?
I did not. I didn't even know there were Doom movies.
So there was one that had like Carl Urban, The Rock, and like a couple of other guys, but mainly The Rock. But this movie was very tangentially attached to Doom. Mm-hmm. That being said, they did have a dope scene where it's all in first person and they have heavy metal music playing in the background. So for like, say about 5 minutes, it was Doom. Mm-hmm. Then, because here's the thing about Doom, you're talking about demonic invasions, and that's kind of, and they were kind of shooting for as mainstream as you can get Doom, and you can't exactly have demonic invasions in a mainstream action movie.
I mean, the movie Priest pulled that off pretty well, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings up another thing, is that a lot of the times, I think another reason why games are so hard to adapt is really depend on the studio, because oftentimes the studio will want to change things that are fundamental to the game. In other words, they'll like make it like blank in name only. It's like kind of like with Halo. What they did is they hired people that didn't play the games, and honestly, until the latter episodes, it didn't really register with me. And then it's like these infamous few episodes came up, and I was like, okay, now I see why people are saying these guys obviously have never encountered Halo.
Right. Yeah, and then for some reason they just threw a early 2000 Chevy Tahoe in there. I don't know if anyone else caught that.
And they had like AK-40s. Did you see in the Andor trailer they had an AK like blatant?
Yeah, it was all kitted out. Yeah.
I'm like, what? At least see. Here's the thing. Halo also had Chris vectors, but they sort of like geared them up to make them look more futuristic, and luckily the Chris vector actually looks pretty sci-fi, so that's one that they could get away with. But the AK and like a Tahoe, I'm like, that is, particularly when you have like a warthog in the universe, and they have a warthog in the show, it's very prominent, so it's not hard for them to just put a warthog there if they want to have a vehicle.
Yeah, and at the same time it's like what were you saying with the adapting, like the making it seem like it's there? I remember the Chris Vector. No, I think it was Deadpool. They had a super kitted out, that weird crazy gun that he had.
Oh yeah,
the Chris Vector that was kitted out.
Yeah, Cable.
Yeah, he had that weird Chris Vector that had like other guns mounted to it.
And it was
it's stuff like that.
Basically a giant shotgun that like blasted people backwards.
Pretty much, yeah. But it was just a Chris Vector with a bunch of shit welded to it.
Yeah, and that really gets back to also when you think about it, this also applies to comics, because it's like so many people like let me give you an example, and this it gets into like the studio sabotaging the project. So you're familiar tangentially with the origin for Superman, right?
Yeah, his planet explodes. He hops in a rock, or he's put in a rocket or something. He's like the last of his species or something like that.
Yeah, and he comes to Earth. So when they were writing Man of Steel, one of the studio notes, so spoiler, in Man of Steel, his ship is destroyed, the baby ship. So one of the studio notes was, and mind you, the movie showed the destruction of his planet Krypton. So one of the studio notes was, you shouldn't destroy his ship, because how is he supposed to get back to Krypton? And the scriptwriter was legit said, you saw Krypton explode in the first 10 minutes of the movie. What are you talking about?
I see. This is what, and even like, that's just stupid. If you knew anything about, you could ask anybody who knows barely anything about Superman. They know that his planet exploded. Yeah, because that's his whole origin story. Like, if you knew what was going to happen, it's like, okay, his planet exploded. Okay, but let's send him back. His planet exploded. It's not like it's not like it died. It's gone. It's reduced to ash,
rubble. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, and this gets into, so in one of the earlier episodes of the podcast, I interviewed Gabe Altaib. He's a former DC Comics colorist. He left DC after they changed Superman's like motto from Truth, Justice, and the American Way to Truth, Justice, and the American Tomorrow, because they wanted to seem very progressive. But anyway, so one of the things he said is that the most annoying people were the studio people. And what he wants to say is that you hire me to create a product. Let me create a product. If you don't like my product, if you didn't like where I was going to go with the storyline or the game, do research into what you're adapting and decide, maybe I shouldn't do this. It's like the same thing with Halo too. It's like if you don't think you're able to adapt, it's like their reasoning for not following for like changing the storyline, setting in another timeline is because, and I kid you not, this is the reasoning, because it would interfere with the story we wanted to tell. Then change your story.
Right. Yeah, it's like if you took, let's say, Cyberpunk 2077, where you have an I think it's an anagram. I don't remember what they call it in the game, but you have someone else's memory in your own head. So it's like, that's where the whole Johnny Silverhand, that's where Keanu Reeves comes into the game. If you took that and you tried to make it a TV show, but instead of it being in your head, it's like a physical person, you've completely now stayed to the beginning of the game where he's the only person. But if you have him and V in the same scene and everyone else can interact with him, you've now lost kind of that whole thing. You've now lost the main story.
So that's why when I see gameplay of Cyberpunk, no one seems to notice Keanu Reeves just hanging up. I was wondering about that.
He's in your head. That's the whole thing. Yeah. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but yeah, he's pretty much in your head and you have to get him either out of your head or let him take over. But I'm not going to spoil the ending because there's 12 endings to that game.
Yeah, I saw it. It's ridiculous. It's like, I mean, some games they completely nail, like Sonic the Hedgehog. But here's the thing. That's a very simple game when you actually get back down to it. So it's, I think it's really easy to adapt like Sonic. The hardest part they had was adapting his design, because we all know what happened when the trailer came out.
That almost started riots.
Yeah, it looked horrible. I'm like, who decided this?
Yeah. And that was all the studio's whole idea.
Oh yeah.
It's always the studios. They're in it for the money. They don't care about if it's accurate. They want the money.
And they don't realize that if you actually make the fans happy, we'll do the marketing for you. It's like the same thing I said with like the 4-hour cut of Justice League. It's like they set. Yeah, I know. I've seen it 9 times now.
The Snyder cut?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen it,
but
I know about it.
But anyway, so what happened with this is that it eventually came out on HBO Max and it took off. Like it did very well for HBO Max. In fact, it crashed the servers. So many people were watching it. So Warner Brothers, the weekend after, says, "No, we're not going to do any more with that." Even though, guess what? He had 5 more movies, like 2 more Justice League movies planned. In other words, the planning's done. He just needs to get to work. And they said no. And then all of us on Twitter are like, wait a second. We will do the marketing for you. If you give us what we want, you don't have to pay a cent on marketing. We marketed the Snyder Cut for you.
I think that's also what happened with Disney, because now they've got how many new Star Wars games, movies, and shit coming out. It's like you originally ended your new trilogy, which was god awful, if you don't mind me adding. And I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but I hated the new trilogy that Disney put out. That was awful. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, here's how many more TV shows. Here's how many more. It's like, I think it was something like 14 new games. Yeah,
it's really ridiculous. Really, really crazy. And it's like a lot of it is like they go into Star Wars. Let's transition to Star Wars, because the thing, what I noticed about Disney Star Wars is that they're dealing with the quantity over quality. Because if you notice, the movies were horrible. The trilogy movies, because I enjoyed Rogue One, I enjoyed Solo for what they were. Yeah, but when you get to the actual like trilogy movies, it's like and it's like. The only like really good thing they've produced is Mandalorian. Obi-Wan is pretty good so far. Oh, you haven't watched Mando?
No.
It's really good.
Like I said, I'm not a big Star Wars guy.
All right. Well, anyway, but and it's like when they do have a good show like the Book of Boba Fett, they change the character, change the canon, and then here's the best part. For some reason, they always do this, and they've done this in the Marvel shows too. The headline character like Moon Knight, Boba Fett, there are episodes where they don't show up once.
Yeah, I believe it. It's just to fill in plot holes usually.
Yeah, but we're like, wait a second. It's like it got to the point. So Mando shows up in like the last 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and everyone's like, okay, this is great. We got to see season 2.5 of Mandalorian. That's pretty much what it turned into.
Like what you were saying with Han Solo, with the Solo movie and the other movie.
Yeah.
When you're taking individual characters that we don't really have a backstory of, and we don't have, lore on, and you're making that lore, you can do that very well, or you can do it very poorly. In their case, they did them somewhat well, but it's like, the main thing I say that is because we don't have the canon on those characters. We know what we know from the original movies, and that's pretty much it.
And here's the thing, they decanonized like all the extended lore too, so they couldn't even use that. But going back to what you said at the beginning of the episode, though, the reason why I think Mando did so well is because they had actual fans and people that knew Star Wars writing Star Wars.
There you go.
So I'm like, you got to have people that actually, it's like with Halo, they should have had people that actually grew up on the lore and the games and
or worked on the games.
Or worked on the games, yeah. Because even, I don't know if you saw, one of the guys who actually worked on Halo said, I don't know what they're adapting, but certainly isn't the Halo I worked on.
Oh, yeah, I believe it. Like, I remember playing Halo 3 and Halo ODST, or Halo 3 ODST and Reach, and those games were great. I mean, they were actually good.
Mm-hmm.
But like this new one, I'm yet to see anything that even remotely resembles what I was playing.
I mean, the campaign is good, but the multiplayer was like bare bones.
Oh, absolutely. If they're making a show on the Halo multiplayer, I swear.
I think the reason the problem with that also is that they release, for some reason, the game industry thinks it's okay. For some reason, people have allowed the game industry to release games half finished.
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk, Battlefield 2042.
Although I will say, I'm in the Cyberpunk Discord.
Mm-hmm.
They are very active in there, and they have done a lot of updates to bring that game up to where it is now. It is far better than it was at launch. It's the No Man's Sky 2.0. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I saw it because again, I started playing No Man's Sky after all the updates that come out. So I'm like, well, why do people hate this game so much?
See, I got Cyberpunk at launch, and I was told it was very buggy. But when I played it, it wasn't bad. Mainly console, the current gen, the last generation console is what it originally released on, and it couldn't keep up with that because it was already old at that point. So it's like it's going to be that where it's like if you're releasing stuff that's not ready for production, like the GTA revamps that they did recently, those were awful.
Oh jeez, how do you mess up GTA?
Because they're 20-year-old games on a modern engine.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran like they looked decent, but they ran like garbage. I mean, they were bad. I had to refund them. I couldn't play them.
Yeah,
so I'm interested to see how they do with the new Saints Row.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Well, Epic Games got a hold of it, so I
can kind of trust Epic Games. I think to make a quality product. They are making basically the Master Chief Collection, but for Gears of War, and I'm very interested in that.
Gears of War was great.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Chainsaw Bayonet for days, boy.
Yeah, that was like, if you wanted a more metal gun, it's that one right there.
That's it.
That's right there.
That's it.
So getting on that, actually, they are making a Gears of War movie. And I'm like...
If it doesn't have The Rock in it, I'm going to be upset.
Well, it has Dave Bautista as Marcus.
Ooh.
So I'm like,
okay. That's a good
cool.
Sub. Good substitution.
That's very, yeah. I think Dave Bautista. The Rock could probably play like Coltrane, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Or something like that. It's. Well, here's the thing: the way Hollywood casts, I really doubt they'll like have any logic to the casting.
Oh yeah, they don't care
because it's like a lot, but going back to what we said, but here's the thing. I want to be excited for all these adaptations because I love the property so much. Like, how long were they making this Halo show?
I guarantee you 5 or 6 years in development.
9 years.
9 years? It took them that long?
And over 250 rewrites.
I'd love to read the original script from that. I'll be honest.
Watch the original script be like the most faithful adaptation ever, and some executive was like, nah.
Rewrite it, fix this, and then it's just completely a void of what it used to be.
Yeah, and here's a story for you. So do you know the story of the Snyder Cut?
No, not familiar with it. I'm not a big Marvel guy either.
Okay, so what happened was that Zack Snyder, he's the director who did like 300.
Okay, and I know the director.
Yeah, so he made Man of Steel, which was kind of controversial because it had like a dark take on Superman, and with the comic book community, they hate any time you show another perspective to a character. That's my problem in the comic book community. They always complain that these companies do the same storylines over and over and over again, but the minute they change anything, everyone throws a temper tantrum.
That's where I like stuff like that because it you're very familiar with that side of the character, but to see them in a different aspect,
exactly,
in a different light, I enjoy that. Like when I saw The Dark Knight in theaters,
oh yes,
that blew my mind.
Yeah,
to see Batman in a different aspect than you used to see him in like the 80s or the 60s. It's like that aspect of that character, seeing their dark, like that whole darker side, it's interesting. It's cool. It brings new life into the character.
Yeah. So anyway, so he makes Man of Steel. It was very controversial. Then he releases Batman versus Superman. This is the movie with the infamous Martha, which, by the way, so Warner Brothers had a tendency to try and make like a 2-hour runtime for these movies. So they made Snyder cut out whole swaths of the movie that and then that like added important context. So when he released like the Ultimate Edition of Batman versus Superman, which is like 3 hours, it actually is a coherent movie. So anyway, they released that movie. People freak out because A, it's dark, but I'm like, it's a Batman movie.
It's supposed to be dark. Do you know Batman's origin story?
Particularly this Batman, he's using like machine guns on his car.
Love to see it.
Yes, it's so good. But
He's
anyway,
always going full Green Hornet with it, essentially.
But here's the thing, and people freaked out. Batman wouldn't use a gun. Have you read Batman comics? Particularly, he was adapting this specific comic called Dark Knight Returns. It's the reason why you have like the darker Batman, because previous to that, it was the Adam West jokey character.
Oh, the best era.
So in response to the freak out of Batman versus Superman, Warner Brothers, and then at the time they're working on Justice League, Snyder's daughter commits suicide.
Ooh.
And Snyder has to step away, obviously, to deal with that. So Warner Brothers, instead of delaying the movie because they wanted their Christmas bonuses, decides, okay, we're going to bring in Joss Whedon to just complete the editing of the movie. It's not he's not doing that much. Don't worry. Then we start hearing about the reshoots and the reshoots and the reshoots, and then Justice League comes out, and it is the biggest insult to DC fandom you have ever seen, and that's counting. Now. And that's counting the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze, going, all right, everyone, chill.
I love the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze, though.
All right.
It's so good. It's so cheesy. It's so good.
Yeah. So then people, within a month, people are like, no, there's actually a Zack Snyder cut that has like an additional 2 hours of footage, because the original cut of Justice League was legit like exactly 2 hours, because they want, because here's the thing, Warner Brothers was trying to make a cinematic universe like Marvel, and they were trying to they thought, and this is why I think the Marvel movies have ruined superhero movies, because they make everyone think that these movies have to be joke fests, which that's why every Marvel movie pretty much is the same thing. Now, for 3 years, people tweeted, restore the Snyderverse, restore the Snyderverse, restore the Snyderverse, because Snyder kept posting on his social media, the social media platform he goes on, Vero, all the stuff that was taken out that would have made the movie so much better. Then they released on HBO Max, and everyone's like, free of studio interference, pretty much. And everyone's like, this is way better. Why didn't you release this?
Because it'd have been a 4-hour movie.
No. He could have like cut it down to like maybe 3 hours, 2.5 hours. He could have cut it down a little bit. But here's the thing about the Snyder Cut. It's paced so well that it feels like 2 hours. So I doubt it would have been that much of an issue, considering the fact that this is in a post Lord of the Rings world.
That's fair.
So that's the story of the Snyderverse. So our point is that when you give directors and creatives and game studios their own like the independence, they're able to produce a good product. And remember, this is coming from the studio. Warner Brothers supposedly has the reputation of being directors first. Really?
I'll believe that when I see it.
It's kind of funny. Everyone that sabotaged the Snyderverse pretty much has been fired. There's only one guy left.
I believe it.
Yep.
Because that cut did so well that they're like, oh, we screwed up.
Yeah.
And then just started mass firing.
Well, here's what happened is that there was Discovery, as in the Discovery Channel, bought Warner Brothers.
Did they really?
And the CEO is known for being if it makes money, we're doing it. If it doesn't, it's gone. Doesn't matter what it is. So he showed up, and then like so many people that have cost Warner Brothers money, gone. Like there's a saying, it's like this is also where you get like half the CW shows canceled. Well, that's also because the CW, like, you hear this, apparently the CW has never turned a profit. And I'm like,
have they really not turned a profit ever?
mm-mm.
Ooh.
And I'm like, then why were they allowed to exist? Well, here's the thing. When you see their shows, which ignoring Superman and Lois, because that show is fantastic. But when you see their shows, you can see why they've never turned a profit.
They seem to cut budgets a bit, or cut budget for shows, and
not only
you can
that,
tell.
Not only that, it's also like the quality of the writing is like,
yeah.
It's mainly because it's pretty much a teen drama channel. It's like, even so, they have an adaptation of Archie comics called Riverdale. They just gave them superpowers.
I know all about Riverdale. That show was awful.
I'm like, yeah, that's my other issue. I'm like, it astounds me how people that have no experience being creative all of a sudden want to dictate the creative direction of these different properties that they have no experience in.
Right. But on the other side of the coin, there's movies and games that have been put out that have been amazing.
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu. What's the other one? Prince of Persia: Sands of Time was really good. I loved that.
Yeah, I saw it. It was pretty good, I would say.
I saw it in theaters. That was what was the other one? Resident Evil: The Final Chapter.
The newer Tomb Raider.
New Tomb Raider was excellent.
Yeah, that was pretty much the new game, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, so Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, and also the Resident Evil Return to Raccoon City that just came out. That one was actually pretty good.
That's out? When did that come out?
Like a couple months ago.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's actually very much an adaptation of the first two games. Yeah. So there have been some that have managed to do that, including Sonic, when they actually got the design right.
After they got bombarded on social media about it.
Yes, because here's what, and to quote them, they try to make it realistic, but I'm like, you're dealing with an anthropomorphic hedgehog. What's supposed to be realistic about this?
Yeah. Like, I know, in my opinion, me growing up, my favorite game was Need for Speed.
Yes.
So when I saw they're making a Need for Speed movie, I got hyped about it. Worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's
true. It was
true.
God awful.
Tell us about it.
Oh God. For one, all the cars were fake. They were replicas. Obviously, they have to be, but they were not very well done. There were very, very many flaws you could see in the cars. Right. The scenes were not very. It was all racing. There was no plot at it. There was barely any plot to it at all. It was all racing. They you know how like in Mad Max they have all the trucks that carry the fuel.
Yeah.
They did the same thing in Need for Speed. Same thing. They'd be driving down the highway and there's a dude reaching out just trying to fill a car up with gas.
Oh no.
While they're going down the highway.
Oh no.
Don't get me wrong, I'm a gearhead, so I love cars. I like the movie for the car aspect, but there were so many things that I noticed wrong in that movie that I just didn't like.
If I want a good car movie, I'll watch the first two Fast and the Furious.
No, the first four. One, Too Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. Those are all great movies. And then once they got the sponsorship with Dodge in the fifth movie, when they were driving the safe down the road, and then everything started going military with that movie. Nah, you lost me. Or
in space. Or did you see the last one where they're swinging a car?
I haven't seen the new one yet. I haven't seen the new one yet.
Oh boy,
I've kind of been holding off because I'm like, I don't know how I want to do. But
well, the minute that in the spinoff and this was in the trailer,
Hobbs and Shaw.
And Hobbs and Shaw, you have The Rock pulling a helicopter toward a truck. And I'm like,
I mean, that's The Rock, though. He could probably do that. It's The Rock.
That's true. He probably could. So I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, at least here's the thing about what's the movie again? Oh yeah, Fast and the Furious. The thing about that movie, which I think why it's popular or has the appearance of popularity, is because they've embraced the craziness of these movies. They know it's ridiculous. So like, all right, we're going to space now.
But at the same time, they've also strayed away from their roots. But in the 10 one or whatever that's coming out, they're trying to go back to it apparently.
So I'm like, yeah.
I'll see how that plays out. But Fast and Furious is the only movie franchise I've seen get adapted to a game. So going the opposite way, instead of game to movie, it's going movie to game. That was awful.
Yeah,
Fast
I was
and
about to
Furious
say.
Showdown
I heard
was
them-
so. I have it on the Wii U. It's so bad. I love it still. I'm a Fast and Furious fanboy. It's so bad though. The gameplay is awful. It looks like GTA Vice City.
Yeah, I
But a
saw a little
couple
bit of
years
gameplay.
newer.
I saw it's bad.
It's so bad. Granted, like I said, I still play it. I'm a car guy, Fast and Furious fan, but it's awful. You're like sitting at the top of a car just shooting at people. It's like, what?
That's like when they made a Rambo game and it's just an on-rail shooter.
Pretty much.
And I'm like, I've seen gameplay on it. It looked like terrible.
One movie I'm surprised they haven't turned into, or one game I'm surprised they haven't turned into a movie is Call of Duty.
Well, here's the thing. Any military movie is Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, yeah.
Pretty much.
A zombies movie, however.
Ooh.
A Call of Duty zombies movie? That could be pretty good.
There's potential there. And it's kind of funny. Any like Hollywood like Expendables movie could be considered Battlefield.
Yeah. The new one's supposed to be really good. The new Expendables.
Oh, I can't wait. I've seen all three.
I've heard it's supposed to be a very good movie. No, it's not out yet, obviously, but from what I'm hearing and other people like talking about it, it's supposedly going to be good.
Well, that's when you put every action star in a movie and just say,
just like with the what was that movie? What was that movie? Oh, they were like in a jungle. It was like Bruce Willis. What was it? Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
You had all the comedy guys in there. That movie was great.
I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
I'll never forget the scene where the kid, I think he gets pushed off a cliff or something, but he just sits at the bottom like some little insurgent kid gets like hit, and he just throws his weapon down. He just pouts on the floor. It's
I love where it's like,
such a good movie.
Here's my farm. I'm a land farmer.
Yeah, see, that's a movie that doesn't take itself seriously. It was so bad, but it knew it didn't take itself seriously, so it made the movie good.
I mean, it started off with like a montage of really bad trailers.
Oh,
those were so good. Oh man.
Oh, the one where they're all sitting at the restaurant, they're all farting. Oh my god!
And you notice it's all based on who's in those movies.
Oh yeah,
like
no, that was the best part.
He always plays that stuff.
Yeah, no, that was a good movie. No, Tropic Thunder was one of those movies that was really well done, but also really bad at the same time because it was a comedy. Not a lot of people, you want a comedy and an action movie, it's going to clash, but they made it work.
Yeah, sure. So speaking of really bad adaptations, here's a really bad comic adaptation that I'm sure you haven't seen, but I'll describe to you the good parts of it, the bad parts about it. Wonder Woman 1984.
Heard it was a failure.
All right. So have you seen the first one though?
I haven't. I'm not really one for super. I think the last superhero movie I saw in theaters was Dark Knight.
That's a good one though. But okay, the first one was fantastic. Like,
oh yeah, I heard the first Wonder Woman was great, and then they made 1984, and it was just like,
okay, so here's the plot of 1984. I'm gonna spoil it for you since you're not gonna see it, and then I'll react to it. So what happens is, I can't wait for this. So
it's gonna be good.
Movie starts off. She's like, it's the Amazon Olympics, and for some reason they have 12-year-old Diana competing along with their greatest warriors, very obviously dangerous, like Greek games. Anyway, she almost wins, but then she cheated in the race. So it's all about this truth is the most important part of life and such. So be truthful, don't lie. So then it cuts to 1980s. And the adaptation of the 80s was pretty good. So then, all right. Then they have this stereotypical scene where these dudes are robbing like a store in the mall. She shows up. It's the typical like bad superhero movie like action, but it's very tame because the director didn't like that she had a sword and shield. So she took that away from her for no reason.
The most iconic thing aside from the lasso of truth for Wonder Woman?
I'm like, have you seen any portrayal of her in the comics, in the modern comics? She has a sword and the shield and the rope, but just the sword and the shield. So then she finds this magical wishing rock where she wishes for her boyfriend to come back to life because her boyfriend Chris Pine died in World War I.
Oh boy.
He comes back to life, but you see, the thing about this is that the rock takes away her powers. Because it's one of those things where if you wish, it takes something away from you too. So anyway, he comes back to life, but his spirit is inhabiting the soul of another dude. And so what happens is they reunite and they sleep together.
Oh boy.
This brings up people were accused or basically saying she made Wonder Woman a rapist. And I'm like, well, it's actually very true when you think about it. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, that checks out.
so then you also have this executive named Maxwell Lord. He's like the typical Hollywood portrayed billionaire. That should be everything you have to say. So his plan with The Rock is that he just grants other people's wishes and they owe him favors. So that's what he does. So anyway, so Wonder Woman is trying to get the stone back from him. So what she does is he flies to Egypt. To get to Egypt, she and Steve break into the Smithsonian. You know how in the Smithsonian or they have like the air
and Space Museum?
Yeah. So she finds a part of it that has like a tarmac with a bunch of planes lined up, conveniently fully fueled.
Conveniently.
And
could be air show planes though.
World War I fighter pilot knows how to fly an F-18.
I mean, similar controls is still a yoke.
No, but he knows all the buttons to push. I'm like,
maybe the body he inhabited was an F-18 pilot.
No, he doesn't get the memories of the dude.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's stupid. They fly from Washington D.C. to Egypt on one tank of gas and back.
So they're doing the Fast and Furious thing where they just keep shifting gears. They're just still going.
Oh, and by the way, all of a sudden she develops the ability to make the plane invisible, hence her invisible jet.
So my thing is that maybe it didn't take all of her powers away.
No, she's slowly losing her power, sort of. But
okay.
Here's the thing. Also, it's like you just brought this up. If she's losing her powers, how does she gain another power? Again,
it's like if you lose one of your senses, though, the other senses become heightened. So maybe she had that power all along, but as she lost them, the other ones became stronger. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
You're trying to explain a crappy movie, and I love it. It's so good.
What do you think I do?
So
I had to explain Sharknado to my dad.
That's a fantastic movie. But
The third one was really good.
So they get back to Washington, D.C. and it's pandemonium because he granted everyone their wishes, right? So when you grant everyone their wish, it doesn't go well because some people want stuff. It's like the president of the United States wants more nukes than Russia. So it's like all along, it's like all of a sudden the US has like 50,000 more nukes. So
that's a bad idea.
Then she finds out where he is. But Steve says, okay, Diana, you're losing your powers. You need your powers back. So you have to undo your wish and let me die. So she does that. And then all of a sudden she develops the ability to fly. Like conveniently, just by throwing her lasso and hooking onto a plane and then launching herself. And all of a sudden she's like, okay, all you have to do is glide in the air and then she can fly.
That inertia.
And then she flies back to her apartment, grabs this dope set of gold armor that's straight from the comics, flies off, fights her former best friend who morphs into an anthropomorphic cheetah. That's Cheetah. Oh, and defeats her in battle. But so she shows up with Maxwell Lord and she hooks her lasso to his foot and basically goes, it has this really stereotypical, poorly written speech about truth. And then he, for some reason, decides, I want to undo my wish. And he just runs away.
I mean, it's the lasso of truth. So maybe it made him tell the truth. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm thinking too deeply into this.
Even the most strict comic book fans hate that movie because of that. It's like really.
I believe it. I'm not even a comic book guy and I hate it just by hearing how you described it.
Yeah. Trust me, I tried my best to paint it in a positive light. So then Maxwell Lord escapes without any consequences.
As the enemy usually does. Yeah.
And then he turns good at the end. And then everything's all good. Wonder Woman's all good.
Who saw that coming?
And I'm like, so my opinions of this movie was, at first I thought it wasn't that bad because, you have those like rose colored glasses if you really love the product that much. So you're like, okay, this is not bad. Same thing with Justice League. And then I was like, well, that's not good. Well, that's not good. Well, that's not good. Okay, so to describe to you Justice League, they have a scene where the Flash trips and falls into Wonder Woman and his face is buried in her chest area.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
And then they have Martha Kent making Martha Kent is Superman's adopted mother,
Right?
making making a joke that had to be written by Joss Whedon that was very sexually explicit, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, oh, here's the better story. So at the same time, Henry Cavill was shooting Mission Impossible.
The new one?
The newer one. So he had a mustache. He was contractually obligated to keep the mustache. So for the reshoots, they decided
he just has a mustache.
No, what they did is they tried to CGI remove the mustache. And it ended up, his lip looked so bad.
I gotta look this up. Hold on. What was
Google
it?
that. Look up Superman mustache. That's all you have to put on there. And we're looking this up, folks, real quick, because I want to see Brian's reaction. There you go.
Oh my god, that's awful.
I know, right?
It's he's got this kind of mustache, and then the next thing you see, he's got like a handlebar mustache.
And then what's so weird is that then he smiles and his lip doesn't move.
Hold on, wait. What? You said it doesn't. Hold on.
Look up Superman CGI smile. Look that up. I'm loving this.
What the what? Oh, sorry, but that. Oh, I know you said keep it PG, but that I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll don't worry. I'm gonna add it out all this stuff. It's fine.
Oh
But
my
it's
god.
like, yeah, I'm like, and can you believe that's what they left us on the theaters?
Oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, look up Flash falling into Wonder Woman. You have to see this visual. It is like, oh my gosh.
Hold on. Oh yeah, this might be a video that I gotta see here. Let's see here. That. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
All right, so for those of you watching, Brian is looking up the clip of Flash falling into Wonder Woman from Justice League. Otherwise,
that was so badly shot too.
Or as I like to call it, Craptus League. And by the way, do you know why her head is facing away from the camera?
Why?
Because Gal Gadot refused to film that scene, so that's a body double.
Is it really?
That's why. To the point where
can't say I blame the actress though.
Joss Whedon threatened her career.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you didn't need any more, this is coming from the dude that, like, when he did Avengers. Scarlett Johansson's character's like outfit has a zipper, but it was always like halfway down, and
of
like,
course it is. It has to
be
be sexual appeal.
Yeah, I'm like, of course, but I'm like, okay. And then once again, he made very sexually explicit jokes in the movie. I'm not gonna. I try and keep this. So I'm not gonna get into it. I'll tell you off camera, but it's like, oh geez. So Slimeball. By the way, he almost made he has a Wonder Woman script that he wrote, and it's the most perverted thing of all time, dude.
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest. It's current Hollywood, man. It's awful.
And this is coming from a dude that has been photographed in a shirt that says, "This is what a feminist looks like."
What's the guy's name? I gotta see.
Joss Whedon.
How do you spell Josh?
Joss and then Whedon, and to the feminist shirt.
You know who he looks like?
Who?
He looks like he kind of looks like Bill Burr mixed with who's that English the two English guys, they did Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
He looks like those two guys put together.
Are you talking about the dude who was in the new Star Trek movies and played Scotty?
Dead. Hold on. Yeah. It looks like him.
I know what you're talking about.
Edgar Wright. He looks like Edgar Wright mixed with Bill Burr.
Yeah, except guess what? He doesn't have the talent of either of those two actors. So going back to, and by the way, Justice League 2017, all that stuff was mandated by the studio.
Of course it was.
When the studio executives watched the movie, they have legit said, we knew that movie was terrible. And then here's the really messed up part. You ready? They blamed Zack Snyder for it.
Even though he had no part in the movie.
Even though he had no part in it. Because when you look at the movie, 80% of it is Whedon.
I found the picture of him in the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a flattering photo, dude.
No,
Not
exactly.
a flattering photo at all.
So what's kind of funny is that he released an article where he tried to like give his side of the story for like all of the perverted stuff he's done throughout the years, but it made him look worse. Like,
I believe it.
Here's an example. When responding to the Gal Gadot saying he threatened my career thing, here's what he said to her. And note, she's an actor, former Israeli military who speaks like 3 to 4 languages. He goes, oh, she must have misunderstood me. English is not her first language.
That's awful.
I know, right?
That's if I was his boss, that's termination on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's racist.
Yeah.
2, that's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I know. Just like you're offending everyone.
Your buddy, your Twitter would have a field day with you, bud.
Ironically, I don't think he's on Twitter anymore, and I'm like, I guess.
Good. I don't want him on there. Holy cow. After him being someone who is part Hebrew or part Israeli, I know some Hebrew. Mm-hmm. I took offense to that. Most of my family's from Israel.
Yeah, but it's like she speaks 3 to 4 languages. She's former Israeli military, and you think English is not her first language, but I'm like,
you'd be surprised how much English is actually spoken in Israel. I was there about a decade ago. There's a lot of English spoken there. Mm-hmm. A lot.
There's a lot of English in a lot of places in the world that's actually surprising a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And you have to, because the language of business is English.
Mm-hmm. All right. So back to what we're talking about. So now we're going to transition to the really fun part. Now,
oh, boy, here we go.
Now, Brian, if you could pick, what do you think are the top 5 worst adaptations of all time? And then we'll do top 5 best.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to say Need for Speed.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know if it was a direct adaptation of the game, but I enjoyed the car aspect. I enjoyed the racing aspect, but everything else, they lost me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of that many that I've seen. I think that's the only game iteration I've seen. I haven't even watched Halo yet. I don't watch much TV in the first place. I think the only thing I watch is Ghost Adventures and paranormal stuff.
If you're a fan of the game, of the Halo game, which I believe you are, it will anger you so much you will actually rage like you just got killed in the multiplayer.
Without the discrimination and all the horrible crap.
Because guess what? 3 of the episodes have action. The rest of it is just people talking.
And Master Chief hooks up with a chick.
That's a Covenant spy that he just met while Cortana watches in the background. And then 343 was like
a Tahoe in there for some reason.
Yeah, and then 343 was like, well, it was important to the plot. How?
Breaking Cortana's heart, apparently.
This is coming from the company that made a Halo game where Chief's only playable in 3 missions.
Is he really?
Halo 5.
Haven't played it.
Okay, so with this game, this is the epitome of bad marketing. All right, so the marketing for Halo 5 was, okay, so it's going to be a battle between 2 Spartans. Spartan Locke is going to be hunting the Master Chief because the Chief's gone rogue for some reason.
I remember that.
That sounds really cool, right? Okay, that conflict is only in one cutscene where they punch each other really hard. The rest of it is Cortana's back from the dead all of a sudden and is evil. That was kind of funny. Is Halo Infinite, the campaign is just them. It's basically 343 apologizing because it feels like Halo again.
Oh, God. I know they were supposed to make a Fallout TV show. I don't think that's happening anymore with the creators of Westworld leading it. Amazon Studios, and I think it fell through, unfortunately, because that could have been really cool. I'm a huge Fallout nerd.
And I was about to say, if it's the creators of Westworld, that might actually be good.
And it's Amazon Studios, so they've made some decent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it fell through, unfortunately, because it was announced right before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what was your other ones that I've seen that were awful?
Have you seen? Let's see. Let's see. What's another good
list
one?
here?
I'll tell you what. I'll give my list. Okay, so
Go
and this is mixing comics as well. Number one is Dragon Ball Z, the live action movie
that was bad.
Where they made Goku like a werewolf for some reason.
Yeah, they went full Inuyasha with it. They went full Inuyasha, which is about a guy who's part animal.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, I'm not gonna put the Mortal Kombat movie on there because that was actually pretty good and actually felt like
the 1995 one.
No, the new one.
Oh, I was gonna say the old 1995 one. That was awful.
I still haven't seen that one, but the new one that went straight to HBO Max. That's actually really good.
Haven't seen that one.
In terms of it feels like the games. It's gory as hell.
Good. It should be.
Yeah. Next is Doom. Both Doom movies, because both of them are like terrible. Because so they have two characters in the movie. Across the two movies, the two protagonists are obviously supposed to be the Doom guy, but so first off, one's a dude and one's a girl. The other one, two, they both, you can see their faces, and three, they talk a lot. Same problem with Master Chief, ironically, is that they make him take his helmet off. Here's the funny thing with the Halo show. They did it in such a way that it was kind of like they were playing with the fans. So like off, on, off, on, off, on. So I'm like, oh no. And then I will say, I believe I saw the Need for Speed one like years ago, and I didn't enjoy it. So I'm going to put that one up there. So that's about 4 because the two Doom movies. And then I'm going to say, in terms of comic book adaptations, it's probably Justice League. Because what he basically did is he made an Avengers movie, but it's essentially like Avengers with Justice League skins.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
go
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I went through a list, and I realized I've seen some of these movies, just seeing like some of the screenshots. 1995 Mortal Kombat, awful. What else was there? Need for Speed obviously would be up there. Hold on. Angry Birds movie. Unfortunately, I worked at a camp. I had to sit and watch that. That was awful.
Really?
Oh god.
How hard is that to adapt?
You'd be surprised. What else was there? Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did the Assassin's Creed movie. I saw like half of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
That wasn't that bad, in my opinion.
I need to rewatch that. That might be interesting. Max Payne was awful. I remember watching that. I think I have it on DVD somewhere. I got a Rotten Tomato score of 16. There's Super Mario, the 1993 Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh yeah. I'm like that is just
that was awful.
That's an insult.
That was really. I remember the Postal movie. They made a movie about the game Postal.
What is that game?
That game is kind of like Manhunt. If you remember Manhunt, where it's just the most brutal ways of people dying. So it's pretty much Saw in a video game, which they did make they made 2 Saw games. They were both excellent because they had all the original actors come back and do their lines.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that Saw 1 had the original Jigsaw voice actor. They had some other people like for other characters. I know for the second one they brought back a couple of the other voices. It really, really, really well done. See, if you're gonna do a game adaptation of a movie, bring back the voice actors.
Yeah,
like they did with the Lego Star Wars revamp when they brought
all the Clone Wars people.
Not the Clone Wars. No, it was right when the new trilogy came out because I have it on Xbox One. Lego. I don't know. It came out in like 20 something. Let me. 20
Are you talking about the Lego Force Awakens game?
That's the one.
Yeah,
that was good. What else?
Well, because like the later Lego games, if they're based on a movie, they just took the audio from the movie and just put it.
I've noticed that. Either that or they had them re-record it because Lego Incredibles is like that. I've got way too much time in that game.
Or what I loved is that with the new Lego Star Wars game for the prequels, it's all the Clone Wars actors.
Yeah, the new one that they put out, the Skywalker Saga.
Yeah.
I want to buy it. I really want to get it.
So good.
I love their new combat system where you can duck and roll and hit.
You can take cover and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And there's combos with lightsabers. It's so much less of a passive game than they were in the. And you can fly around in ships everywhere.
Yeah, you know what they did? I think they took it to be. They took the what's the game called? Star Citizen approach to it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And I just got into Star Citizen. Amazing game, but it crashes way too much.
Yeah, I would try that. It's just my Windows PC is not that powerful to run it, so I'm like, no.
I've been upgrading my rig some more since we've talked last.
Oh, I can tell that.
RTX 3070 Ti. I think I have a picture of it in my Discord.
Dude,
in there.
It's so good. And the DLC characters you can play as the Mandalorian, and he has a baby.
I've heard that.
He has a baby Yoda that follows him.
And I think that's why Lego Dimensions was so popular. Because you had all these titles. You had Ghostbusters, you had Wizard of Oz, you had Batman, you had Back to the Future. You had all these movies being adapted into games as DLC. And when you bought the DLC, you technically just bought a Lego set. And that's all it was. It was like $20, and it was cheap too. Because I had, Five Below, right?
Yeah.
They used to sell the bundles for $5 instead of like 20. So I'd go there on a weekend, buy like 6 packs, and boom, I was good for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to make video games, make it something like that, where you have one game to center around everything. So you could like kind of how they did with Lego Star Wars. Even in the beginning, in the first game, you had the 3 different rooms you could go into.
Yeah.
First movie, second movie, and the third movie. Even though it all took place within the same movie, the same franchise, but they did it right. Granted, there was no voice acting for some reason, because Lego in the 90s had Lego Island, which had the voice acting. Yeah, and then it went to... And then all of a sudden they come out with, I think, what was the first one? Lego City Undercover, that brought back the voice acting.
I think it was Lego Batman 2, where it was the first one that had the voice actors.
It might have been.
And what's actually kind of cool about the Lego Batman games, that they eventually brought in the actual voice actors from like Batman the Animated Series and such, like Kevin Conroy and stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is dope.
See, if that's how if you're gonna make a movie adaptation into a game, same thing goes for the game to the movie. Bring in the original voice actors, because they're the ones who know the lines the best. They're the ones who can do the voice the best. It's like, I have a girlfriend who's a voice actress. She does stuff for like Friday Night Funkin' and other indie games. Like she's that person. So if they make something else, they would have to bring her in, because if they replace her, people are going to complain. So it's like it's hard. Like, that's
what they did with Halo. Well, they replaced the Master Chief actor, and everyone's like, see, here's the thing. While I don't have a problem with the guy who plays Chief, thing is that Chief has a very distinctive voice, because we've never
very much so.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We've never seen his face, so we've had to go off of his voice. And when you change it, although he did a good impression, because what I liked about the show though is that when they had their helmets on, the Spartans, they actually gave them sort of like a Darth Vader voice changer thing to amplify their voice and make them sound more intimidating. So I was like, okay, that's dope.
And to make it sound like they actually have a helmet on.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a lot. I mean, Reach, they did muffle the voice a little bit.
Yeah.
Reach and ODST so actually sound like they have
but a helmet will do that.
Yeah. But it's with 3, it's why are you talking so clearly?
Oh yeah, that was. But I mean, I guess from that, you'd have to take it as that you're listening to the comms inside the helmet, and you're not hearing it from the outside. You're hearing the direct communication. That's my guess.
Or it could be the speakers on the helmet are so powerful.
Yeah, because that game takes place when?
25.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to that, yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, because when you're adapting something, granted, you are going to have to change things from the game to the movies, because it's a different medium and all that stuff. But
absolutely,
when you keep the same voice actor, when you try and keep as much continuity between the franchise from the games and the movies, or vice versa, I think what that does is it makes it easier for the fans to deal with the changes, because it's okay, you're keeping some of the stuff we like. We understand why you had to do that stuff. That's the problem with Halo. Way too much change at once.
Oh yeah. But even then, it's if you bring in the original voice actors, it hits that, even if it's an older movie based on an older franchise, it hits that nostalgia. It's okay, maybe this movie, the acting was bad, but they brought back the original voice actors. It was cool. It was a throwback, like they did with Bill and Ted. they brought back the original Bill and Ted.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that
it's
movie was
also
awful until the end.
Yeah, or if you bring back like the music, because as we know, Halo is like very known for its music. They only brought in the Halo theme, the da 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 da,
and like Doom
in the last battle. Doom
2016, the soundtrack written by Mick Gordon.
Oh, whenever that hit, dude, I was like, let's destroy. I am ready to destroy.
Oh, dude, I have that playlist set when I'm driving. Oh, I just blast Doom.
The thing about that soundtrack is that when you do it, it makes you feel like you're actually doing all those executions. It's like,
oh, it's so good.
It's so good. That game, I think, has the second best soundtrack. I think
that's got to be the first best soundtrack for me.
Mine because Halo, because I'm a huge Halo fan.
The Cyberpunk soundtrack is actually really good.
Really?
Yeah, if you look up some of the songs and the artists in there, they've got obviously they have a whole different bunch of songs. Like they have hip hop, R&B, they got electronic, they got metal, but they got some really good names in there. And I think because you had Keanu Reeves lining it, like headlining the game. But yeah, even then, just bring back original music. Like if 20 years from now they make a remake of Guardians of the Galaxy, you bring that music back.
Hooked on a feeling.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like you bring back the original scores, even the composers. If the original composers are still alive,
yeah,
and you get them to maybe tweak the music a little bit, but it's still done by the same composer. As someone who's in the music industry, people don't necessarily like redos of music, of like classic, like in the metal scene anyway. But there's some songs like Falling in Reverse had a song, I think it was I'm Not a Vampire, and they originally was a really like hard rock song. They took it back and made it a ballad. And it blew everyone's mind because it was so well done. It was clean, it was precise. But then you have bands that cover other stuff and it's just like, that's awful. Don't do that. So that's why bringing back the original composer for a movie or for a score, you can kind of bring up people's, like, even if the movie was awful, you still hear, well, the good thing was the music was good, or the score was really good, or the actors were the original actors and they were really good still. So you could kind of save your movie if you bring back the original cast and the original crew.
That's true. And what's kind of funny is that this worked against Warner Brothers, because going back to Justice League, so what they did is also they replaced the original composer with Danny Elfman. He did like the original Batman theme, the original Superman theme. And the thing is that it didn't fit the characters that were established in that universe, where when they brought back Junkie XL, who is one of the best movie composers of all time, what he did, by the way, so when they authorized the Snyder Cut, and note they had like, I think like 8 months to do to do all the VFX and everything for the movie. So that's a big, like, that's like,
impressive to do all that in 8 months.
Oh yeah, so when you see
that's no big
when
task.
You see the movie,
that's no easy task.
Particularly the redo of the villain, because they had to redo the design for the main antagonist that they fight, Steppenwolf. By the way, the black suit that you see in the movies, that is all CGI. They had the blue and red suit, but the studio it didn't want a black suit because they thought it'd be too scary. So what Snyder did is, I'm just going to do it in Photoshop, so in case they change their minds, I can just hit a switch. Yeah. So when you see the movie, the black suit's all CGI. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. So, and remember, 8 months. So he already had like a little bit of the music done. But what happened was he decided, I'm just going to throw out what I have so far and make a whole new soundtrack for the movie in 8 months. When you hear it,
that's no easy task.
When you hear it, he created like a 3 to 4 hour soundtrack.
In 8 months?
In 8 months.
Jesus. And you got to have
COVID.
Like, oh my God.
Because it was authorized in 2019, actually. So going into COVID, it was like November 2018 when they authorized it. So then COVID hits. Then it was May 20th, 2020 when they announced it. So when you think about it, they did all this in 8 months.
Jesus.
So anyway,
and then they cut out half of it.
And yeah, exactly. When they made the movie, and they screwed up the movie, they cut out half of it. Literally, actually more than half of it. It's really...
I'd believe it. I need to sit down and watch. I think I'll probably watch it with my girlfriends here.
Mm-hmm.
Probably watch it with her.
Have to, and let me know. You don't have to watch the whole thing because it's actually split into chapters. In other words, it'll say
I know,
chapter one. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's. I mean, if you have the stamina to watch all 4 hours, I would encourage.
If we're not too tired from SuperCon,
I would encourage you to do that. I'm so excited for SuperCon.
Oh, I'm excited, man. I've got parts of my cosplay here already.
How did I know that would be yours? But anyway,
I caught it. Nice.
That you caught that like a boss.
Oh, you know the character I'm doing, right?
I have no idea. No.
It's from a TV show called Has Been Hotel.
I've never seen it.
Here, let me send you a picture of it. And this is one of the things because the show got picked up by A24.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was from a small indie group called Spindle Horse, and then A24 picked up the show. The same people who did Midsummer, they did Hereditary. Yeah, they picked up the show, so they've been redesigning. And the thing that's pissing a lot of people off, in some cases, like my favorite voice actor, Michael Kovac, who voices Angel Dust, isn't coming back. More than half the original voice actors are getting replaced by Actors Guild. But yeah, he's one of my favorite characters. He's funny. He's a badass.
It's like, isn't that, speaking of like people,
here you go. That's the character. I sent it to you on Discord. Yeah, he's got he carries a Thompson around with him at all times. Like he's got the street sweeper with the front grip on it.
Yes. I haven't seen it. But funny. So I see it. Oh, that looks dope.
Oh yeah, he's funny. He's a very funny character.
Yeah. So all right. So before we log off, all right. So there's one more adaptation that I want to talk about. All right. Go for it. So here's one that I can't believe I never mentioned. Avatar.
The Last Airbender or the one with the blue people?
Last Airbender.
Yeah, that one was bad. I know the kid who did it was an actual Taekwondo student. I think he had a 4th degree black belt at the time because I went to not the same school physically, but the same chain of schools, American Taekwondo Association, ATA. So I got my black belt. He was a 4th degree black belt in that school group was the ATA. So dude could actually fight, but the movie was so bad.
The story, but so they're making a new version for Netflix. And here's the funny part.
I dropped my Netflix subscription years ago.
Yeah, I dropped it with Hughes. But here's the funny part. All right. So the original so they brought in the creators from the show. You know, they brought in the creatives.
Smart move.
And then the creatives quit.
Yeah. I kind of figured something was going to happen.
I'm like, oh no.
Like you were so close to bringing yourself back from that abomination, and now you just crashed the car.
Into the show, and the show is really good.
The original show is excellent. Avatar: The Last Airbender, so good.
Yeah, because for some reason
Nation attacked.
Yeah, because right now I'm trying to to catch up on a lot of the pop culture comic stuff that I missed growing up in homeschool. So Avatar is definitely on the list. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, why couldn't they just do this?
Exactly. Make it animated. Make it good.
Yeah, it's like, but the other movie, it's so. First off, they pronounce it as Ong, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, because it's kind of funny.
It's Ong, isn't it? It's not Ong. It's Ong. Ang. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of funny. I had watched a little bit of the show, like a couple episodes, because it was on Nickelodeon, and everyone in our age group watched Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah.
But so I was watching it, and then I watched the movie, and I'm like, that's not right.
No. There was so much stuff wrong with that movie. I don't even know where to begin.
And let's not forget, okay, the Transformers movies. All right. The first one was good.
Yeah, where they introduced Bumblebee.
Yeah. The first one. No, I mean, the first Michael Bay one.
Which one was that?
2007 Transformers. The first one was good. These movies got First movie was good. Second movie was okay.
Wait, what was the one I'm thinking of then?
Bumblebee.
No, it wasn't the Bumblebee movie. It was the dude buys the old Camaro.
That's Transformers 2007, actually. Yeah.
Okay, that is the one.
So yes, that movie was good. And then Transformers 2 was okay. 3 was pretty good. And then it starts to get bad. Like, for instance, so Transformers 4. They left green screen in the movie.
I'm not surprised.
Okay, so do you know how whenever you have like a tactical team, there's like a dude in a van that has all the screens. One of the screens is green.
What do you mean?
So you know how
the van with all the monitors in it?
Yeah, one of them is green.
Did they really mess that up?
Yeah. Oh, and
you know how easy it would have been to go into Wallpaper Engine and just make an animated wallpaper?
Mm-hmm. It gets worse.
It just scroll.
It gets worse. So the rest of the movie takes place in Hong Kong, but they filmed in Chicago, and they left in the background the Sears Tower. And then, okay, Transformers 5. This is where the story gets really convoluted. All right, so you remember the Autobots arrive on Earth in Transformers 1, correct?
Yes.
That dope scene with the meteorites. All right, so they retcon it in Transformers 5 that the Autobots have always been here since ancient times.
That's right, yeah, they've been hiding among people.
But I'm like, wait a second, Ironhide's here, Optimus is here. Did you hit? You came down in a meteorite in Transformers 1 in the modern day.
That just shows that people, they can't keep up with canon. They change it halfway through. Like what they did with Star Wars. They changed so much the original canon, it pissed people off. Oh, frankly, rightly so.
Speaking of Star Wars, whenever people are talking about like the Disney trilogy, they'll always say, well, I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I'm like, you know why? It's a redo of A New Hope. It's
pretty much is. Almost literally that word for almost scene for scene.
It's like that meme. Of A New Hope. It's like that meme where can I copy off your homework? Sure, but if you don't make it look too much like my homework, yeah, exactly.
That's like the movie Born to Race with Fast and Furious. But only Born to Race is actually accurate with all their car talk. It's actually close. They actually like mention stuff. It's actually accurate, and it's better than Fast and Furious, the newer ones anyway. I highly recommend it.
I'll check it out. But yeah, and then we get into The Last Jedi.
I might watch the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
It's pretty
whatever.
Good.
I don't know what it's called, but
it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay, I might check that out, but I don't have a Disney Plus because I don't like Disney.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people don't. But I have it because I cover a lot of the Marvel stuff, so I kind of have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to.
But
I might have to check it out because I think my dad has a subscription. I may watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
It's pretty good, actually. It's actually really good. And check out Mandalorian when you get the chance. It's really good.
If I get around to it. I got a bunch of stuff I'm watching right now. Right now, I'm rewatching all of Ghost Adventures. Love that show. That show's amazing. I'm also watching Skinwalker Ranch.
Never seen that.
That's good. That's really good. That's if you like paranormal stuff. I'm watching Gold Rush. I'm watching a lot of Discovery Plus shows right now because I have a Discovery Plus membership. One show I do recommend.
Then you're gonna get an HBO Max thing too because they're combining the two services.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So you'll have access to all the DC stuff, so you can watch the Snyder Cut.
Oh, that works. Didn't we know when that merge is happening?
Well, the merger just happened, and
I'm saying like the software side of it.
I don't know when that's happening.
Okay. Whenever that happens, I'll watch it. I'll get back to you on it.
Yeah, you can come on the show and review
it. We'll talk about it.
But anyway, so now before we log off, I know this is a long time.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm enjoying it. I don't work tomorrow.
All right,
so I'm good.
Yeah, we'll hang out after we stop recording. But anyway, so what would you say is the number one best adaptation?
Oh God. Of a movie or game to movie or movie to game? Oh, you heard that thunder too?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell's that?
Yeah, I heard that. That was loud for me. Yeah. Are we talking game to movie or movie to game?
Both. Let's do both.
All right, game to movie. I'm gonna say probably the newer Mortal Kombat. That was excellent. That was really even good. The original Mortal Kombat was really. I enjoyed it anyway. I'm gonna get some heat for that in the comments, but. That's YouTube comments.
Yeah. Exactly.
I enjoyed it. I happen to really, really like it. I thought it was great. I thought it was well shot. That's just my opinion.
You mean the one we're talking that recent, the more recent one
was good?
Yeah, that was fantastic. That's what I was talking about earlier.
The first one that they made was really good as well, at least in my opinion. If we're talking game or movie to game, I'm probably gonna go with the Saw franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I love Saw. Saw 10 is being written right now. I'm gonna see it in theaters. That's the first movie I'm seeing back in theaters after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. Jigsaw was great.
Mm-hmm.
But the gameplay was great. The fact that they brought back original voice actors for it was great.
There you go.
They brought back, like, they recreated scenes from the movie in the game. So like with the characters in the game.
Oh,
so
well,
like
that's
the
actually
same
really
camera
cool.
shots, the same. Yeah, it was really good. The second game does it a lot better than the first. The first one doesn't really follow a story, but the second one kind of twists the first trap to survive instead of. But they do the same, like, camera pans. It's really, really cool. One of my, I have it on was it P? No, 360. I have them both on 360. They're replayable. They're amazing.
Right. I have two favorite game to movies: Sonic the Hedgehog, because that was legit like the game, and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. My girlfriend saw Sonic the Hedgehog. That's all I heard about for 3 days.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I'll talk about Mortal Kombat first. They made that game, like, my dad, who's never seen Mortal Kombat, commented afterwards. Well,
my dad played
really
it.
Bloody, and I'm like,
yeah, it's Mortal Kombat.
Kind of. It was kind of funny. I also play Injustice a lot. Like, I
love Injustice. Gods Among Us. Yeah, that's a good game.
And what's funny is I'm watching this game, and I'm like, and my friends are like, my buddy who's my co-host, he's a big fan of Adam West's Batman, so he's very, like,
how could you not be a fan of Adam West Batman?
That's true. But what I'm talking about is that he's very, like, into that little nicer period of DC. So when Batman is flying at you with machine guns, he's like, oh no.
Just A10.
All right. I am undefeated in Injustice as Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I played it on mobile. I didn't play it on console. I played it on iPad during school. In high school. We all downloaded it. That was we were only allowed one game. It was either people were downloading Heyday, Clash of Clans, or Injustice. Those were the three games, or Cartown Streets before that got taken away.
Injustice is like the one game where I'm really
I gotta get back into it. I need to buy an iPad just to get back into it, because that game is playable on iPad.
Any member of the Justice League I got. But speaking of bad adaptation, so what they did when Justice League came out is they tried to, like, adapt the costumes into the game. So in Justice 2, the way it kind of works is that you can customize individual gear pieces in order to, like, customize your character. That's cool. All right. So what they did is...
Wait, they added character customization to Injustice?
Yeah.
I haven't played since high school. I'm honest. I haven't played since high school, but I love that game, man.
So what they did is, for the movies, that so for a Wonder Woman, they didn't really do anything because it's the same costume from Wonder Woman to Justice League. For Flash, it's legit the suit. For Aquaman, it's the suit and trident, except it's still the white blonde guy.
The trident you got behind you?
Yeah, it's that. But it's just they kept the white guy with short hair, short blonde hair. So I'm like,
oh, they didn't go.
I'm like, at least the mobile game put Jason Momoa in the game.
They did?
Yes, they did.
Oh, hey, there we go.
I'm like, why couldn't you do that for? How hard would that be? And then Superman
console would be not as easy as you think. Because
right.
PC, you can open up command prompts. You can run obviously the software open, but if you're doing it on console, you need a dev kit console.
No, I mean, they don't need. No, I mean, what they could have done is changed the skin of Aquaman's face to just be the long hair and the beard.
Yeah, I mean, it could have not been financially wise. They probably make more money off the mobile game because it originally released as a mobile game.
That's true.
So they probably figured that, we can make more money on the mobile game version than we can on the console. Because when I heard, not many people have it on console. It's mostly a mobile game.
All right. But anyway, so Superman, it's just the S. That's the movie. It's just the S. Cyborg is just his gun. And the Batman one is actually legitimately the Justice League Batman. So I'm like, well, that's lazy. But anyway, Injustice is my game, bro.
Yeah, I got to get back into it, man. If I get it on PC, I'll probably... What do you play it on?
I play it on...
Console?
Yeah, console.
Is it cross-platform or no?
I think it's cross-platform. But anyway, you would actually enjoy Zack Snyder's movie universe because he was moving toward an adaptation of Injustice as a movie. They made an animated movie. Wait, hang on a second. There's one more adaptation that we didn't talk about that's game to movie. Injustice. They
No
made
shit.
Injustice
Really?
animated movie, but they crammed 5 years of the comics into one movie. Movie.
That's a lot in one movie, man.
No, they skipped out significant parts. The cool
Ooh.
part is that when they had like Superman battling Superman, they did adapt like his super moves.
Did they really?
Like, all the characters did have their
Death
super
from Above
moves.
from Solomon. Oh, is it Solomon Grundy that had Death from Above? No, that was who was that? I know Solomon Grundy was born on a Monday. That's his thing.
I know it's like
Death from Above.
with
Cyborg was Death
Cyborg.
from Above.
Yes, with Cyborg, they did the Injustice 2 one where someone throws him at Cyborg and he has the giant cannon, just blasts him. Superman, they combined his from 1 and 2. He punches the dude twice, the camera follows him, he knocks him into space and knocks him back down.
Yeah, he flies up and it slams him down into the ground.
Yeah, that's right. My favorite one.
That's the one that's Death from Above.
Okay, my favorite is Darkseid's one because you can't evade it.
What was he? I don't think Darkseid was in the game
lasers,
when I played it.
And he launches you into space. He grabs you with a giant fist and just pulls you in.
Yep, that's the one.
I love that one.
Gotta get back. I know they haven't made a Mortal Kombat version of that, and they did with Marvel as well.
Mm-hmm. What I want is an Injustice style game, but it's Marvel versus DC.
That'd be interesting, like Capcom versus DC style.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. But it would be because they had a Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Did they really?
Yeah, they also had Capcom versus Marvel. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it's essentially a storyline where the two things merge.
Oh my God, it's a thing.
But rumor is for Injustice 3, He-Man's going to be a playable character.
Why?
Because he's owned by Warner Brothers too.
Oh my
God.
God.
You see, they're coming out with a Smash Bros.
At that point,
game.
just make a Bugs Bunny character too. They're owned by Warner Brothers.
By the way, did you see they're making a Smash Brothers style fighting game called Multiverses that's going to have you can have Superman versus Shaggy.
I don't like Smash. I haven't played it since it was on GameCube. I don't like the game. The FAU community was so toxic and unwelcoming. I kind of just never bought the game.
Really?
It was bad. Back when the student union was the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
No, man. They were not. They were toxic. Because I'm like, hey, I tried to talk to one of them. I'm like, hey, what would you recommend? I want to kind of get into Smash. He goes, oh, if you're new, don't even bother playing with us. I'm like, that's welcoming.
Yeah, that's really good.
Like, that's awful.
Mm-hmm. But yes, so going back to what I was saying, so Sonic and Mortal Kombat would be my favorite adaptations from game to movies. Now, movies to game, let's see, what movie adaptations have I played? Let's see. I haven't played that many movie adaptations. They have a few of them for like a few of the Marvel movies, but I've never played them. Oh, I know, Iron Man, because that was actually really cool. You can use all the Iron Man suits and then you can fly around the map. And Hulk, because Hulk, you can just smash the map.
Did you really? Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a free roaming Hulk game, but the entire environment is destructible.
So it's like taking Battlefield and making the like with the destructible environment.
Not as advanced, but what I mean is that you're in New York City and you can make the buildings fall down.
Really?
Which in a post 9/11 world kind of feels kind of weird.
Yeah, wasn't there a movie like wasn't the original Spider-Man that left the Twin Towers in?
Yeah, in a poster.
Yeah. Ooh. Actually, you have that poster. That's some good money.
It was a movie. I mean, it was the trailer and the poster too.
Yeah, I was saying if you got a poster of that from the movie theater, that's probably worth some money.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I think it's a good place to leave this episode. Brian, thank you for coming on. You're always
not a problem.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, I gotta pick up on some superhero stuff that I haven't seen lately.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll help you out. All right, so where can everyone find you, man?
TikTok. Everything it goes by Witchwake, WITCH, I'll comment in the comments so y'all can see. I got YouTube, which I'm just gonna start uploading again. Just
let
some
me know
shenanigans I do.
For you.
I got you. Yeah, youtube.com, Witchwake. I'm gonna start uploading again, like I said. Probably just some shenanigans I do when I get into video games and stuff. Twitch.tv/Witchwake and TikTok. There's a bug flying around in here. And I keep
I saw that.
camera. That's like the third time it's done it.
I was like, oh, I
Either
thought it was
it's
a bird.
ghost, either it's
thought
a
it was a-
ghost or it's a bug.
I thought it was a bird. I'm like, what the hell was that?
No, I don't have a bird. I just got 2 cats and a dog. But yeah, no, twitch.tv/Witchwake, youtube.com, Witchwake. Like I said, all my social media is Witchwake. It makes it easy.
Yeah,
It makes it
that's
easy.
good. All mine is just Jared from Comics League. That's it. I'm done.
There you go.
So that's it for this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed this very special episode. That was pretty gaming theme. I've been doing I've been doing a few gaming.
I'm liking that. Yeah. See, the gaming stuff I can get into because I'm gaming 24/7 here.
Yeah, I figured that's why I said, all right, I'm doing a gaming thing.
Especially now that I have VR, I've been doing nothing but gaming.
Yeah. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.